Today, I wish to cover three subtopics of DSS. First, I will talk to you about applications of DSS, where exactly it is used. Second, I want to talk to you about benefits of DSS. And third, the benefits of Group Decision Support System, GDSS. Let's first talk about the applications of DSS. In reality, DSS can be used in every function of organization. There is no function where decisions are not needed. Hence, in each and every function of the organization, there is an application of DSS. But major applications which are very apparent in most organizations, they are listed in the list here. First is about marketing control. Marketing is a very competitive activity, and the organizations need to control the marketing effort in such a way that our expenditure is minimum and our benefits from the marketing effort are maximized. For this, various types of controls are used in marketing management. These are like annual plan control, these are like strategic control, expenditure control, and things like that. They are all focused on different aspects of marketing. For example, when we talk about annual plan control, right from the beginning of the financial year, we go on monitoring the actual sales performance versus planned sales performance. If it is falling behind, we have to take corrective action, perhaps by more aggressive sales promotion and advertising. Similarly, we keep monitoring things like accounts receivables from the customers. If there are certain groups of customers who are habitually delaying our payments, we have to proactively revise our credit policy for those customers. We should make sure that our working capital is not used by them for their operations. In strategic marketing control, we think of the topics like how far our customer relationship management is effective in getting new customers and retaining existing customers. Again, here, a lot of quantitative parameters have to be constantly analyzed to check how we are performing in the marketing area. In all these areas, since there are so many quantitative parameters, multiple parameters, and decisions have to be taken based upon them, DSS can be used there also. Second major application, which is practically used in each and every organization, is in the area of inventory control. Now, inventory control is an area where you have to control the stock levels of various items which you normally store in your company. These could be materials related to execution of projects, civil projects, electrical projects, or maintenance projects. These could be materials related to spare parts for our capital assets. They could be materials related to production of our products, whatever. In all these kinds of things, there are very clear mathematical and statistical models available to control the inventory. And wherever such models are already available, using DSS becomes very advantageous. Take, for example, the control of spare parts inventory. It's a very vital decision because even though maintenance requires two inputs, one is skilled labor for diagnosis and rectification of faults, second is spare parts. But without both these being available, there is no way a maintenance engineer can maintain the capital equipment. So it becomes very essential to rationally develop an inventory strategy for spare parts. Your spare parts should be adequate to give you a high confidence level of being able to maintain your equipment. At the same time, it should not be so excessive that the spare parts which you buy ultimately become technologically obsolescent and not usable. Both the extremes have to be avoided. So there are statistical models for that, which are based upon discrete probability distributions like Poisson. These models are built into the inventory control systems for maintenance management. So here is a very good example that you are using a DSS, which you don't see as a separate entity, but which is functioning as a part of software embedded into your maintenance management module. Most companies, they use for maintenance management either a standalone software package or they may be using a module which is part of an existing enterprise resource planning system. That is a normal approach for users of SAP, Oracle Manufacturing, etc. So there, the main application decides the inventory of spare parts for the confidence level to be decided by the user, by the maintenance engineer, and then on that basis we are able to take decisions about inventory management. This is one of the earliest applications of DSS. When DSS came into the picture, one of the first applications was this, which dealt with inventory control. Then we also have applications of DSS very extensively in the field of medical diagnosis. Medical diagnosis is quite a complicated activity. It is not just that you undergo a diagnostic test, show the report to the doctor, and he is able to prescribe you the tablets. No, it is not so simple. In reality, when the doctor has to decide a course of treatment, whether he has to decide whether a particular surgery should be done or not, is it really essential or not, very large number of quantitative parameters have to be studied. For example, before deciding to cut open the patient for a surgical operation, the doctor may have to study the past medical history and his existing diseases, maybe for a period of something like 10 years. Just imagine if the patient is highly diabetic, you can't take the risk of conducting an operation. The sutures will never heal. So there, before you schedule a surgery, you will have to take very strong treatment to bring down and control the blood glucose level before we can even think of surgery. Now, in most cases where the doctors don't depend upon decision support systems, these decisions are taken mostly on the personal understanding of the doctor. Generally, the physician or the expert in that field, who could be an expert in nephrology, cardiology, gynecology or something. But after all, the human mind's capability to take such complicated decisions is quite limited. So, present trend is to go for decision support in medical diagnosis also. The present trend, I would like to tell you what is the present trend in most advanced countries. They do go to a hospital, they go to a doctor, they take the opinion of the doctor, but before actually commencing a treatment or before actually agreeing for a surgery, they also take second opinion mostly from online medical resources. Very good medical resources are available from companies like Siemens in Germany. Siemens is a company which specializes in manufacture of medical diagnostic equipment. So they also have a web application where you can register and upload your diagnostic data and get the opinion from the DSS. There it is not a human doctor who is giving you the decision. There it is a decision support system built into the medical website which gives you the decision. I would invite you to look at the web support of Siemens for medical diagnostics. You can Google search it and you will find it. So in this area, the decision support systems are helping. People, why don't they go to another doctor? Because if you go to another doctor, the cost is much more. Secondly, the other doctor is again going to be a human being and he may not be using a DSS system. Therefore, it is always preferable to supplement the findings of a personal doctor, personal medical consultant with a decision support system which is hosted online. DSS has also been used in applications like sustainable agriculture. Agriculture is an absolutely essential activity in every country. We have to produce food crops. We have to also produce cash crops. Cash crops are those where you don't get something to eat, but you get a crop which is ultimately converted into cash. So this could be like tobacco, cotton, and even narcotics. Yes, even that. Now, the farmers, they are always interested in making more money from the land which they own. After all, the availability of land is limited for every farmer. He would like to use that land to the maximum possible extent so that he can get maximum benefit from it. So as a result, what is happening? All the farmers in all countries, including in our country, including in India, they are today going for multiple crops in a year. If the harvesting time for a crop is, let us say, 3.5 months, they can easily go for 3 rounds of sowing and harvesting. If it is a shorter period, say 2 months, they would like to go for 5 croppings in a year. Very nice. You can do that because you can always enhance the productivity of the soil by pumping more and more fertilizers, manures, and irrigation water. So you put more resources and you are getting more benefit. But as a result, what happens to the soil? Soil gets impoverished. To some extent, we can overcome that problem by rotating the crops. Let us say first time you have sown cotton seeds, next time you put wheat, third time you put paddy, fourth time tobacco crop, fifth time tamarind crop. That way the damage to the soil can be reduced. But somebody has to rationally decide this. If you leave this decision only to the farmer, how the farmer takes this decision? He just goes by the return on investment. Which crop gives me the maximum return? I mean, how much I will get and how much I have to spend on fertilizers and seeds. He finds the difference highest and he goes on putting that crop again and again and again, and this can totally damage the soil, ultimately that soil doesn't become earth, it becomes just a sand, which later becomes absolutely useless for everything. Then a time comes when you can't grow anything on that soil. So, it's a very crucial decision. Therefore, governments in most countries today, they are not talking about only agricultural development. They say what we need is sustainable agricultural development. So, agriculture should be there. Farmer should get returns on his investment, but at the same time, we should not allow our soil to get deteriorated to that extent. So, this is again a decision which requires attention to various factors. First of all, the soil quality. What are the nutrients and their levels presently available in the soil? How much of nitrogen is there? How much of urea is there? Soil already has got some nutrients. How much we add to that? How much is consumed when we take out a harvest? All these things are again quantitative factors, and the ministries of agriculture, they now use decision support systems for this kind of decisions. You would have seen in our state also, in Telangana, the government gives directives to the farmers now that you go for so and so cropping pattern. This is based upon decision support systems. Another interesting application of decision support systems is in the area of forest management. Forest is a great resource. Forest is a great asset. Forest has got several environmental and economic benefits. Among the economic benefits, we can say forest is the one which provides us timber. We need timber for construction, and we also need timber for furniture. All that timber comes only from forests. Forests also have a great role to play in environment. Forests are the ones which provide ecological balance. Ecological balance refers to balance among the various species of flora and fauna. That means animals and plant life. So when forests are there will be carnivorous animals and there will be herbivorous animals. Carnivorous like cheetah, lion, tiger. Herbivorous like monkey, cow. So they coexist, and some of the herbivorous animals are eaten by the carnivorous ones, especially when they become old and they cannot run sufficiently fast. Thus, all the species coexist in proper numbers in a forest. But what happens if you start cutting the timber indiscriminately? Then the cover of trees in the forest becomes less. If the cover becomes less, both the species of animals, herbivorous and carnivorous, they don't find places to hide. So they are unable to find food, and they run towards the villages or human habitation, and they get killed there. Therefore, just as I said in the case of agriculture, even for forests, it is very necessary to manage the forests in a sustainable manner. We should take timber, yes, we have to. We should also have policies for wildlife conservation. But all this is to be done by studying the relevant quantitative factors. DSS has been used in this area very successfully. The last application which I want to mention before you is condition-based maintenance. This is I would say, the latest methodology of maintenance. Earlier methodologies you have already heard about. In good old days, we were using breakdown maintenance. Breakdown maintenance is repair an equipment only when it stops functioning. As long as it is working, don't touch it. This has been our conventional method for centuries. We apply that even now for our personal assets and even for our own bodies. We never go to a doctor for medical checkup. Only we go when there is a fever or there is an injury. Otherwise, we don't go to a doctor. No preventive checkup. As a result, what happens? When the disease strikes, it is a very powerful disease. It becomes very expensive to handle that. Supposing you had done preventive checkups, you could have known that there is a condition existing in your body which can get worse. So you can start taking preventive medicines. So breakdown maintenance we apply even for our own body. In fact, for breakdown maintenance, the disadvantage is that the breakdown will occur when you are least expecting it. It will occur at a time which is most inconvenient for you. Therefore, the next strategy of maintenance was preventive maintenance. Preventive maintenance says, even when you are not sick, even when your equipment is functioning, go on taking preventive steps to see that the breakdown doesn't happen. So for your human body, you will start going to the gym every morning, not going in a car, running to the gym. Go running to the gym, walk on the treadmill for half an hour, do sit-ups, push-ups, and building up biceps for another half an hour, run back to your house, then come to college. You will be always very fit. You will be able to eat better. More energy is taken by the metabolism, so the health will be better. And preventive checkups. This is the philosophy of preventive maintenance. But today, we are at a still more advanced stage, condition-based maintenance. In condition-based maintenance, every equipment, whether it's a car or a high-power amplifier or any other expensive equipment, in all the modules of that equipment, the sensors will be built in at the time of manufacture. These sensors keep on collecting various parameters data like temperature, pressure, etc., and transmitting to the central server. And there, by considering all these quantitative parameters, the decision is arrived at by some microprocessor through a decision support system to tell the user what maintenance action is presently needed. So these are the major applications of DSS. Now let's talk about the benefits of DSS. In an organization, when we start using decision support system, you will immediately notice several benefits. The first and the foremost is increased personal efficiency of the managers. I think this needs to be really appreciated. You will appreciate it if you think, what exactly is the role of a manager in an organization? The role of the manager is essentially to take decisions. You are not here to do the work. For that, less paid people are available, more skilled people are available. So you need not try to learn all those skills to start doing the work yourself. As managers, you should focus on taking decisions. And decisions are supported by what? Decision support system. Therefore, The personal efficiency of managers gets enhanced when they start using DSS. Second is speeding up the process of decision making. Decision making is always a time consuming process because it requires collection of information, generating of alternatives, comparison of alternatives. All that takes time, and that process becomes faster when our managers start using the DSS. All this also results in increased organizational control. Since organizations are able to now monitor what decisions are being taken and what considerations have been given before taking a decision, so organization as a whole is able to control the actions of managers better. You can understand this if you think that suppose the manager is taking all the decisions in his head, it will not be known to anyone. Even his boss will not know what decision he is taking and how he has arrived at that decision. Is it rational or irrational, or in the worst case, is it a corrupt decision? The organization will not know. But when it is on a DSS, the process becomes transparent to the higher ups, and therefore organizational control improves. DSS also encourages exploration of more alternatives. Since the process of decision making becomes faster in this, the manager will have more time before taking a decision, and therefore he will be able to generate more alternatives and explore more alternatives. In the absence of DSS, he finds a few alternatives, let us say one or two, and he doesn't find time to gather information about more alternatives. So out of those one or two, he just selects whatever appears best to him, and the decision is taken. And in the long run, you may find that the decision is not really optimum. So this can be avoided because DSS will encourage exploration. When there is a problem which you are trying to solve by making a decision, that problem solving gets speeded up when you are using a DSS. DSS also facilitates interpersonal communication. Since your decision-making process is now on the network, especially when you are using a group decision support system, your whole process is visible on the network. It is visible to your peers, colleagues, and thereby there is more effective interpersonal communication. DSS also promotes learning. Learning in the sense, now the manager, he or she, whosoever is a manager, tries to learn more about what can be the other alternatives, what can be the other factors which can be considered, and all that promotes increased learning among our managers. Next is, it generates evidence in support of a decision. Now, why this is important? Whenever as a manager you take a decision, two things can happen. One, your decision is proved to be right. Everybody claps, you are happy, organization is happy. But you cannot be always lucky like that. Some of your decisions in your life, I can tell you now itself, some of your decisions as managers shall go wrong. They are bound to go wrong. Nobody can be right all the time. So what happens when your decision goes wrong? It leads to a lot of criticism, a lot of finger pointing, and that is very, very inconvenient. At that time, if you have used a DSS in your decision making process, you can say what steps you have taken, what data you have collected, what parameters you have studied, what decision making model you have applied. This shows that at least you have worked rationally, and therefore maybe the blame you can divert. So this helps you to even protect your career sometimes. And DSS, by doing all this, gives you a competitive advantage in the market. If your competitors are not so advanced, if they are not using technology for decision making, then you certainly get a competitive advantage over them. So the GDSS part I will do in the next class.